this month, I really want to talk about what I read last month. And my goal for this month is to read 4 books. I'm trying to get back in the habit of being a reader because I used to read a lot. Now I'm not reading at all. So I'm trying to change that this year. But I have the 2 books that I read last year, which was really, really good books. First, let's talk about Atomic Habits. This book has been recommended by a lot of lifestyle gurus, and at first I was like, I'm not going to read this book. But my friend read this book, and then his life changed, and I was like, this book does not change your life at all. But actually, it does. Surprisingly or not, everyone is right when they're talking about how amazing this book is. I thought it was a fluke, but it is not. This book is so great, and let's talk about what it covers. This book basically teaches you how to develop good habits, and the good habits you develop from understanding how to develop them is what's going to change your life. You're not going to read this book in 5 seconds and change your life. It's simply just not going to happen. After reading this book, I have been able to adopt so many good habits and make a habit cheat sheet and a habit scorecard to make sure that I'm keeping up with the things that I want to do. This book has allowed me to be consistent in the gym. I've been eating better, and I'm trying to be more consistent on YouTube. But this book was a long read for me. I'm not a big fan of self-help books, so this book took me a long time to read. I would read basically a chapter a day because I was literally just so tired of somebody telling me how to live my life. But it was actually very useful and helpful. It teaches you about productivity, so if you fail with productivity really badly, this book will help you with that. Another thing I want to say about this book is if you don't actually follow the steps and listen to what he says and read the case studies, it's not going to help you. You're honestly just going to be wasting your time. It's been so many people that be like, I read this book, nothing happened, nothing changed. What did you do? Did you implement what it tells you to implement in the book? I also did kind of find it a little bit repetitive, like some things he kept repeating over and over, but I honestly feel like that was just to hammer it in your brain and get you to understand, and he built it step by step by step. Me personally, I'm more of a let me see the entire problem, and then if I have a question, I'll ask you. But he honestly just gave it to you step by step by step, so there wouldn't be any confusion at all. Overall, I would give this book a 4 out of 5. I enjoyed it. I think if you are into the self-help journey and you're trying to be more productive in your life, I would give this book a read. But I also do want to take in consideration if you have ADHD like I do. Just think about that first. The second book that is a part of our book stack today is Bad Mother. Y'all, I read this book in one sitting. I sat my ass down and I read this whole entire book, and that is honestly how I used to read books as a kid. I used to be able to read 1,000 pages in a couple of hours because I would be so absorbed in the book. It felt like I was watching a movie. This is what this book felt like for me as an adult that's trying to get back into reading. This book was so fun and so interesting. Basically, this book is about a woman who goes back to her small town and is trying to solve a murder case. So there's a mystery element. You don't know who did it, why they did it. It shows so many like clues and technicalities. If you watched Bates Motel, you would like this book. This book had a little bit of mama drama. This book was a really good thriller. They had very detailing, gruesome parts, and I love that in a horror book. Make me feel scared. And then it was sexy. It was so many romantic elements, but it didn't cloud the murder story. I was begging for a little bit more romance. Like I was fiending, I was kicking my feet, squealing like a little girl. I love this book. Now, the problem with this book, the ending was so drawn out. I felt like there was a lot of tension build up, and I was ready for the climax and to jump over the edge, but it never came. It kind of like drew out a little bit too long, and I found myself skipping pages. Like previously, I would read each and every single line, but towards the end, I just started skipping a lot because it was, it was boring. Like at the end, it was a little boring. I mean, if you can hold her attention span, then this is the book for you. But if you can't, don't do it. Don't do it. Don't waste your time. I mean, don't waste your time on the book. I'm saying don't waste your time at the ending. Skip a couple pages. I skipped probably like 10 pages because I was like, babes, come on, come on, come on, come on. You're rushing. Like, you're rushing. You're drawing it out. You're dragging this ending out. Let me see how it ends. And the ending pissed me off. I hated the ending so bad, but there's nothing we can really do about the ending. I really want there to be a number 2 to this book, but a romance version. I know that's probably never going to happen, but I would like to see a romance version just to get into the relationship a little bit. But overall, I give this book a 4 out of 5 stars, and I also put my review on Goodreads, so make sure you hit up my Goodreads, shameless plug, and follow me there. That concludes all of the books we read that last month, and that is so sad and so embarrassing that it's only 2 books. But hopefully one day I'm going to be filming one of these videos and it's going to be 10 books, but right now we're starting slow and building our way up, and I just want to share my recommendations to you guys. Okay, we're going to start off strong with some horror. I am a horror girly down. I've read all of Stephen King's novels. I just absolutely love a good horror book. This is not a horror book. This is a short story horror book. And what I mean by that is there's little small short stories, kind of like Goosebumps. If you've ever read Goosebumps, it's kind of like little tiny Goosebumps stories in one. That is what the back said. And I'm very excited to read this book because I find myself not being intrigued and having an attention span long enough to read a lot of these boring horror books, because a lot of horror books these days are so detail heavy, they lack plot. So I'm excited to dig into this and see if I really like it. I already read the first story. It wasn't as scary, but more so like psychological thriller, confusion. So I feel like this author probably has an artsy take on horror and what exactly horror is. It's not always like boogeyman jumping out of the closet. Sometimes it's guilt. Sometimes it's fear of being alone for the rest of your life, and they develop this very nicely, and I'm excited to read it and see how it goes. If you've read this book, it's called Dear Sweet Filthy World. If you read this book, please let me know in the comments. Let me know any books in the comments that you would like me to read, check out, and of course, your opinion on these books. Don't give me any spoilers though, but you know, your opinions. The next book is The Courage to Be Disliked. I have been recommended this book by so many creators, and I am a people pleaser by default. So the fact the title jumped out to me, The Courage to Be Disliked, really was shocking, because I was like, wow, I do not want to be disliked by anybody because I'm a people pleaser by nature and I want to be liked by everyone. So I want to see if this book will help me with my people pleaser ways. Now I've read the first couple of chapters of this book. I don't like them. But I'm gonna see what the theme is throughout the book. It's basically a philosopher going back and forth with a civilian about ideologies and their disagreeing points, and you know, that type of thing. Honestly, with self-help books, you don't have to take everything and apply it. Some things you let fly, some things do not apply to you, and that's something you have to learn when you're reading self-help books, because they're not always talking to you. You're not always their target audience. So that's just kind of like a discernment you have to have. But I'm excited to go through this book and see. A lot of my friends recommended me, said it was a great book to help with if you're a content creator who's starting your journey and you want to understand how to deal with people who will hate your content, and how you have to take the step of fear and just doing things that make you feel good and make you feel happy. That I'm doing this in the library. I feel like I'm disturbing everybody, but I really wanted to do this in the library because I just love the library atmosphere, and that's where I started reading as a kid because my parents couldn't afford books. So I started off in the library before I've been able to purchase books. And if you can't tell, a lot of these books are from the library. I think 2 of them are from the library. I want to make sure I get in the habit of utilizing the library because spaces, they will take them away from you. So you want to make sure you're utilizing the library, going to the parks, and utilizing a lot of the free resources that you can get. This book is called On Earth We Are Briefly Gorgeous. And I have not delved into this book like I've delved into all of the other ones yet. This is supposed to be a appreciate life mental book. So I'm excited about this. It's supposed to give you a better look on life by showing you the struggles of others, but also showing you love. And I feel like we just simply don't have enough love these days. And I'm excited to delve into this book. There's not much I can say about this. This book was recommended by Pinterest. I found a lot of my books on Pinterest, so that's where I found this one, and it was also at the front of the library for Mental Health May. So I just picked it up and snagged it. Very excited for this read. Now, this is my book stack, but let's talk about something. Let's talk about Libby. Libby is an online public library app. If you don't know anything about Libby, it's time for you to check that app out. It has been my lifesaver since I haven't been able to go to a public library for some time. And now that I found one, I'm never leaving it. But when you need a book on the fly and your library doesn't have it, you can get a digital ebook. I know you guys love digital ebooks, and you can read it in the Libby app or on Kindle. You need to go get you a library card today. A library card has so many benefits. I love my library card. It allows me to go to the zoo, the aquarium, so many other places for free, all by having a library card, and they're free. So use the resource that are giving to you. Take advantage of them, because the more you take advantage of it, the more funding they get. The more funding they get, the more things that we get to do. So make sure you go get a library card today. If you have more than one library card, you can access more than one library on your app. So if one library doesn't have the ebook available, you can find another library that does. Okay, this book is a book that I have off of Libby. I actually have two books on Libby, but one of the books are not determined if I'm going to read it for May. If I do, I'm going to add it as a little sneaky peeky for the next month's book review, or you'll probably find it on my Goodreads. Every single time I get done reading one of these books, I'm going to add it to my Goodreads and review it on there. And then at the end of the month, the beginning of the new month, I'm going to grab all of the books, give you guys a review, talk about them, and showcase you my next reading list. But on Libby, one book is called Bush, the other book is called The Silent Wife, but we're talking about Bush. Bush is about a girl who falls in love with a billionaire, and the billionaire is her older brother's best friend. Y'all, this book is not called Bush, it's called Rush. I'm so stupid. But this book is a freak nasty BDSM book. Think about 50 Shades of Grey. If you've read 50 Shades of Grey, it's like that. Now, normally, this is not my cup of tea. This is not my type of romance. This is not my type of vibes. But this is what I'm reading currently for the romance department. I'm trying to get back used to reading a little bit of smut. I used to read a smut a lot as a kid. Yeah, not a good thing, but more so like a kid, teenager. I used to read smut a lot, and it didn't used to faze me. Now smut phases me. Like, I'd be like, whoa. So I want to get back into reading it a little bit, and I'm excited to read this book. And it's giving Wattpad. It's giving adult Wattpad. And I think that's what all the adults are reading. Did you guys notice like a pattern that a lot of adults on TikTok and reading talk, book talk, whatever you want to call it, just never had a Wattpad phase, and they are living for Wattpad phases. Crazy. So with that being said, these are all of my books for the month of June. I'm so excited to dig into these books. Please leave a comment, like, and subscribe. If if you are excited, and what books are you reading in June? I know I've been asking you guys a lot of questions, but I really want us to foster a community of talking, because I think I'm so disconnected from the Centipede on YouTube versus the Centipede on any other social platform. So I just want to make sure that we're talking and having conversations, because I do respond back. Anyways, bye guys.